Have you ever had one of those feelings that something was wrong? I don't mean during the day either, I mean at night. That sudden, unprovoked feeling of dread that commands you to wake up. Funny, it's almost like a nocturnal evil gives something off that your sleeping brain picks up on. I had one of those recently. It forced me up around 3 a.m. Normally when you have that feeling, laid still, feigning sleep, or if you're feeling adventurous, you might take a quick check around the house. After you fail to discover anything, inevitably, you'd crawl back to sleep. I should have stayed asleep. That night, I sat straight up. For the longest time, I sat staring into the dark of my house before even realizing that I woke up. Then came the fear. The slow, strangling feeling that constricts your chest and worms its way down to your throat. I was alone in my home, wide-eyed and afraid with no explanation. I couldn't hear the telltale signs of a break-in downstairs or a phantom sound of a leaking pipe. I had no reason to be freaking out, but I was. Without much thought, I got up and walked over to my window. I don't know why I did. I peeled back enough for the curtain just to poke my head through and stared out into my moonlit backyard. I should have stayed asleep. Outside, prancing around in my garden, was a clown. It had ruffles around its sleeve and collar, baggy pants, floppy shoes. Its white painted face was topped off with a big red rubber nose. It was without a doubt the last thing I wanted to see at 3 a.m. It danced around in complete silence, doing a step that only a madman or a child could understand. I watched with dread fascination as it circled the garden, trying my best to ignore the growing lump in my throat. It moved around, pausing occasionally to play with my gardening tools or to sniff the budding plants. It waltzed over to an oak sapling I had planted and disappeared. I blinked. This wasn't even possible. It walked behind a thin infant plant but didn't come out the other side. I could have seen it the entire time, but I didn't. It was like the clown had walked through a door hidden by the sapling. I should have stayed asleep. I hoped that everything was some sort of waking dream. Pretending nothing happened was easier than the truth. The clown came back though. Night after night, I watched it dance around my backyard. And at the end of every night, it would vanish the same way. One night disappearing behind a garden hoe, only for it to appear seconds later behind a lawnmower. Tonight, I found it digging a hole in the middle of my yard. I didn't see it do this before, and my immediate thought was it was digging my own grave. The hole got deeper and deeper as the clown dug, until the top of the hole reached its head. Once finished, it stood at the edge of the hole motionless. When out of nowhere, it jerked its head around. My heart pounded so hard I could taste the copper in my mouth. I'm about to tear away from the curtains when I see it bend down to pluck a flower. The clown puts the stem between its teeth and planted it by the shovel. Before stretching out its pretend suspenders and admiring its work like a farmer, my heart was racing at this point, but I was glad it didn't see me. As if it read my mind, it turned on its heels and stared right at me. I never thought I'd actually pray for a heart attack. It spit out the flower and ran towards me, flopping its feet to each side. It stopped a few feet from my house, grinning at me with its filthy orange teeth as it pointed at the hole and waved me over excitedly, like a child showing off its finger painting. Frozen in place, the only thing I could do is furiously shake my head no. The clown's smile fell and scratched its head like it was confused. Then it walked over the hole and pointed again. It stood there for a moment before animatedly acting out its aha moment. It waltzed over to the planted shovel and disappeared behind it. I stared wide-eyed, hoping it would reappear in the yard like before. I silently prayed for this until the moment I heard my closet creak open. I should have stayed asleep. Hello everybody, and thank you for watching the reading of Midnight Dancer on Creepypasta. Let me know what you guys think. It's hard to get really immersed in such a short story, but if you want me to do more, I'll certainly do longer ones and more in-depth ones later if you do, in fact, want to watch. But thank you guys so much for watching. See you next time.